Hey everybody, welcome to another round of Canje Plays as we continue Mr. President. We're almost there to the end of the year. We're hitting the halfway point. Coming down, we went up the hill. Now we're falling down the hill flat on our faces. So let's go ahead and move to the Russia or China acts. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to take the Russia acted on that turn. So China is going to be the one acting on this turn. And we're going to grab the World Peer China Acts book. This is the whole book of what they're going to do, and it's something akin to Russia, but just in favor of China making those things. One of the things I want you to notice is that activation phase 1 and 3 are the exact same, and activations 2 and 4 are the exact same. So we're just going to basically, the pain that we felt here, we're about to feel it here. So let's go ahead and get into it. So same thing for Russia, we have to determine if China has won the game. So we need to take a look at a few tables. First, we look at the influence track to see if China has reached their goal of 15 influence in the world. Remember, bases count as 3. So right now, they're sitting only at 3 influence. They haven't hit 15, so we're perfectly okay. The next thing that we have to do now is to deal with posture changes and results. So to determine whether China's posture changes, as we look up here to see how it looks, here's a semi-better view of what's going on. So to determine whether China's posture changes and further effects of accumulated tension, flip all the tension counters on China, total their values, and then resolve the first condition that applies. So remember, we've been adding tension to China like crazy, so when we flip these tension counters, no effect, a +1, and +2 for a total of 3. So we've got 3. Okay, well, China's posture is 1, so it says if currently at posture 1 and the sum of the flip tension counters is 5 or more, it is not. That is the only thing at posture 1 that would affect it. Cool. So China's posture doesn't change through that avenue. The only other way is if currently at posture 2, those numbers start working. So it's trying to get it to get up to posture 2, but right now they're just at posture 1, and that's what they have. Based on the sum of the tension values above, China's relationship with the US may be affected as follows. So if the sum of the counters is 0 to 1, nope, it is 3. For every increment of 5 in the sum of the tension values, then place one trending anti-US counter on the relationship track. Well, we're at 3, so one increment of 5. We haven't gotten there yet. So we're okay. We're okay. Then immediately before performing any other actions, remove all tensions and redraw. So we're going to remove these tension markers here. We're going to put them in the bag. We're going to reshuffle them, and then we're going to grab 2 new tensions. So it's basically half rounded up. So 2 tension is added back. All right. So let's talk about improving their strategic capabilities. So if China's at posture 1, then they will take 2 they will make 2 attempts to improve their China strategic capabilities. So let's take a look at the strategic board. Okay, so what are we trying to improve? So does China trail US anywhere by 2? In strategic recon and intel gathering, they do. So if they do, they're going to try to make an attempt to see if they can push past this. There's no sanctions on China presently that's going on. No sanctions going on. So it just says we're going to roll a d10 and subtract if there are any sanctions. A 1 to 4 result at posture 1 says that they will succeed and improve by 1. So, and they could try this more than once. So remember, they have 2 times to do this. They're going to try it once to see if they can. So they're going to roll a d10, and if they gain a 1 to 4, they improve. What did they roll? Of course they did. So they're going to improve it by 1. So their strategic defense is going to move up by 1. So that's 2 or more. They'll attempt to do that. The other thing they'll do is if you have 2 or more actions left, they only have 1. So for any remaining actions, roll a d10 for each action and reference the random number changes on the strategic track to determine which attempt to make. Multiple attempts can be made. So first of all, if you see these numbers here, we're going to roll d10. Whatever's rolled, they will try to lift it up. And then if they get a 1 to 4, they then do the same. So just like what we did, basically. Okay, so what are they going to try to improve? That's going to be a 1. Let's take a look at what a 1 is on the board. On this board, a 1 is the Air Force training track, so they're going to try to improve that. Roll a d10, and on a 1 to 4, they improve it, otherwise they don't. Trying to improve that track, we'll see how they do. They rolled an 8, so they do not improve that, and that's their 2 actions that they had for that. The next thing China's going to try to do is espionage. So if China's relationship with the US tract is at a 1 or 2 and posture is a 2, so let's see how that works. Their relationship with the US is at a 4 and their posture is 1, so they would not attempt to do that. Instead, they're just going to try to make one espionage attempt, so they're going to roll a d10 and it'll say -1 or 2 if China's strategic warfare, cyber warfare, is 1 or 2 higher than the US. We're at the exact same, so that's not going to happen. We're not estranged. U.S. allies relationship with -1 if U.S. ally relationship with any ally except India or the Gulf states is not very close. No, we're very close with everybody, so you don't get that -1. You got a hard road to hoe. +1, +2 if U.S. cyber warfare is 1 or 2 higher, +2 if there is a +2 for next espionage attempt, and +2 if there is a China +2 for the remainder of the game. So they're just going to do a straight roll. It's a straight roll on an espionage attempt to see what's going to happen. So let's check it out. All right, let's roll and see what we get. We get a 2. All right, so on a 2, they're going to steal technology, roll a d10 to identify a random strategic capability, and increase China's capability in that box area by 1. So we're going to take this, we're going to re-roll it, see what they're going to steal. So it's a 6. Let's take a look and see what they're stealing. All right, so on a 6, it's here, so they're actually going to move ahead on space warfare. I don't like that whatsoever, but that is what they're doing for their espionage attempt. The next thing they're going to try to do is improve their economy. So let's go back to see the state of their economy and where it is. China's economic state. So they're going to attempt to improve their economy. They're going to roll a d10, and they don't have any sanctions on them. -1 per China influence counter in Asia and Pacific, Central, South Asia, the Middle East, or Africa. So it says per 1. They've got 1 in Africa, and they have 1 in Central Southeast, Central South Asia. Why am I saying Southeast? Anyway, they're going to get a -2 to their roll to see what they're going to do. All right, let's make this, see if they can improve their economy. They roll a 6, -2, that's a 4. So on a 4, it says place an improving economy counter on there. Well, they had a worsening, so we won't place one. What we end up doing is just remove the worsening as it equalizes itself out. Next thing we're going to do is calculate the number of actions that China's going to take. So it's their SOE number +1 minus any mods that they need to have, or plus any, but they don't have, so it's 5 + 1, 6. So they're going to have 6 actions this turn, which is going to be nuts. So let's see what they're going to do. First, they are going to they're going to try terror in Central South Asia. If there are 5 total terror group levels in Central South Asia, there are only 3 that we see there. So if there's 5 or more, they would do it, but they're not. So instead, they're going to try to quell rising dissent by addressing internal issues. Roll a d10, adding 1 if China's posture is 2, and subtracting 1 if their state of the economy is 6. So it's just a straight d10 roll to see what they're going to do. All right, so what are they going to do? They rolled a 4. On a 4, use 1 China action to address massive social and infrastructure costs, smog and environmental issues, in internal security, modernizing infrastructure, etc. So that's all they do. That's it. They're just going to use an action. Then they're going to try to deal with, that's not too bad. Then they're going to try to deal with reinforcements. If China's at war, they are not. Skip. Remove, reduce sanctions on China. So if there are no sanction counters, there aren't. We skipped, so we've only used 1 action so far. Extra war progress roll. So if they're at war, they're not. So they've got 5 actions left after those dependent actions. Now let's talk about their remaining action hierarchy. They're going to try to cyber attack. So make 1 attack if at posture 1, or 2 attacks if at posture 2. So they're going to try a cyber attack against, we're going to find out who. So let's roll a die and see who they're attacking. All right, so who are you going for? We rolled a 1. They're going to target the U.S. economy. Of course there are. If China's relationship with the U.S. is 4 or higher, treat this result as a 3 to 6 instead. So let's see what their friendship is. So we are at 4, so they're not going to try to hit our economy with that. Instead, they're going to try to discredit and replace U.S. as a major trade partner in the Asia Pacific. Oh boy. Okay. All right, let's take a look at what this means. All right, we're going to roll a d10. On a 1, they have a major success, which is probably what they're going to roll. 2 to 7 is a success, and 8 is a failure. So I doubt they're going to fail. But let's give it a roll and see what happens. They rolled a 6. Told you they wouldn't fail. So add 1 China influence to the Asia Pacific. All right, to the Asia Pacific, we're going to add 1 China influence there. So that is their second action. They're then going to try to do 1 belt, 1 road as 1 action. So place a trending anti-US counter on China relations with the US track. We just got rid of that. All right, so we're going to take trending, put it on the relations with the US. Then perform the following steps using the list of belt and road regions. So we have to go in a specific order. We're doing Asia and Pacific, Central South Asia, Middle East, Africa, Eastern Europe, and the Eurozone. So count the number of belt and road regions that have either 3 China influence counters or a China base. None of them do. So we're okay with that. Okay, so we're going to skip that because none of those apply for us to need to deal with it. If there are 0 to 1 such regions, so none, perform option A. So place 1 China influence counter in 2 belt and road regions where China has the fewest influence, starting with those options that we put up there. So first we are going to check when we're talking about the areas, there's 1 here, none there, 1 here, and 1 Eastern Europe. So we're going to put 1 there. And the next one, I believe, is Eastern Europe before the Eurozone, so 1's going to get added there. So 2 got added, which is going to put this up to 5, but I think we added 1 more too, so let's count. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so they should be at 6. China should be at 6. Okay, so they would be at 6 on their influence that they added. That is their action that does. Regardless of which option you choose, immediately place 2 tension counters on China. Yay! So it's getting worse. Okay, and 1 tension counter on Japan, India, Australia, South Korea, Gulf states, Saudi Arabia, and Russia. Come on, really? All right, so 1 tension counter on Japan's going to get added. 1 tension counter on India is going to get added. 1 tension counter, oh boy, 1 tension counter on Australia. 1 tension counter on South Korea. 1 tension counter on the Gulf states, Saudi Arabia, which I believe is here. Yes, and 1 tension counter on Russia. Yay, because that's the fun that we want to deal with. Awesome sauce. And that was just 1 action, as I probably said the last time I had to deal with this. So they're down to 4. They're down to 4 actions. Actually, yes, they're down to 4 actions. Expand China's influence in neighboring regions. Attempt to expand China's influence in 1 region. Attempt in the first region where the conditions are met. If no region, skip to the action. So if any region has 3 or more China influence, no, they don't have enough out there. Expand Chinese influence. Make 1 roll below on the first region specified by the following conditions. So we're going to attempt to expand Chinese influence in Asia, Russia, if there are 0 to 1 China influence and no base. There is 0 to 1, so they're going to try. Oh boy. Oh boy. All right, so what do we need to do? So make 1 roll, see below. We're going to roll a d10 and add the selected region's U.S. regional alignment. Okay, so they're going to try Asia Pacific. Our regional alignment is a 6. We're going to add, so it says roll a d10 and add the selected region's U.S. regional alignment. Yep. Any other result, but see below for Central South Asia. Any other result has no effect, but does count as China's action for action number 3. If attempt was in Central South Asia, it is not. So it's going to be Asia Pacific that you're going to try. We're going to roll a d10 and see how you do. So my job here is not to roll low. Guess what I'm going to roll? Oh, great. Nothing. Sweet. It says replace 1 Russia influence counter in in Asia Pacific with a Chinese influence counter representing the growing competition between Russia and China for control over trade. Oh no, in Central South Asia. So it's going to try to do that. So let's go and take a look. All right, so it's going to replace this, pushing them down to 1, and putting them there, pushing them up by 1. So they're doing okay. All right, so 3 actions left. Reinforce allies, build military, use force. Attempt the first 2 options where conditions are met. If less than 2 options apply, perform only those which apply. If none apply, skip. If China has a relative strength on the China-Japan or India-China conflict track that is equal to or lower than, they then try to build military strength. So let's take a look at that board. Okay, if China has a relative strength, here we go. If China has a relative strength on the China-Japan or India-China conflict track that is equal to or lower than either Japan or India, build China's military strength. That is equal, that's not equal to, that is not equal to. So it's not equal to build their strength, they don't need to do that. If Pakistan is at war with India, they are not. So if India-Pakistan conflict track, so the India-Pakistan conflict track is 3 or higher, attempt to reduce tensions with India. Nope, we're good. The conflict status is good. They're not that high, so we skip this action. Secure sea lanes. All right, let's take a look over to back to the ocean. I say ocean, I mean world theater. So if there are at least 2 China influence counters or a China base in Asia Pacific, no, there is not. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. All right, let's see what else they got. Attempt to expand China's influence in Central and South America. Oh no, make 1 roll on the first region specified by the following condition. Attempt to expand China influence in Central America if its regional alignment is less than 7. Central America's regional alignment is 5. So they are going to try to build it out here. And if it's less than 7, there are 0 to 2 China influence counters in Central America. Okay, so they're gonna try to do this. Roll a d10 and add the selected region's regional alignment. On a result of 10 or less, China gains influence in all these regions. So regional alignment in South America 7 plus, or, which is not, there are 2 Chinese influence counters. Attempt to expand the influence. So let's go and roll and see what we get. So first they're going to try to deal with Central America. 4 plus 5 is 9. So, yep, they are going to add Chinese influence there. And then they're going to try South America, which is going to be awesome. Yep, that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to add it there. So they're going to add 2 more. So they've added influence in Central. South America moved their counter up to 9. Remember when they were at 3 and we were feeling good about the way things were? Yeah, that's over with. 2 actions left. Oil partnerships. China invests in additional production and infrastructure projects abroad aimed at securing channels for their growth on oil import needs. Roll a d10 and see what happens. All right, we rolled a 9. Place a China influence counter in the Middle East. Make a regional alignment check in the Middle East. If you fail, place a trending anti-US counter in the region. Oh my gosh. Okay, so a China influence is going to go into the Middle East. That's 2 of them, putting him 10 on the track. Awesome. Make a regional alignment check. So basically, regional alignment is 5. So they need to roll a 5 or lower. Okay, so can they make it? They roll, of course they can. They can make a 1. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to add a trending anti-US in the region, because that's a thing that happened, and they've got 1 action left. So they're going to test cyber warfare against the US economy. China's posture is not to, so we don't do that. They're going to prepare for war. They are not at war. Skip this action if China's relation with the US is 4 or 5. Cool. That's all they're going to do. In the unlikely event that you have completed this actions list and China has actions remaining, do the following. For each remaining China action, roll a d10 to determine a random region and place a China influence there. All right, well, where are we adding influence? At 5. Okay, and then we look and see where 5 is, which is the Middle East. Sweet! So they get another one there. Oh my gosh, and that is the end of their actions. They have no actions left. They are done, so no more pain. All right, we finished that. Now we get to perform any 3 actions that we want to try to undo this big, massive mess that has come up. Well, we need to remove, China influence in the Middle East, because That's not a good look. That's not a good fit. There's a lot of removing tensions. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to decrease a lot of tension because this is how to make this work to get rid of their influence. I need to do crisis relief to drop that regional crisis to 0. I then need to improve this and be perfect on this to raise it up by 1. And then I can attempt to do this as my third action. This is a lot of moving parts to make that work, which I'm not confident in. So we're just going to, because they're allies removing 2 tension, I'm going to spend all 3 actions just to do that. So, India, 2 tension gone. Japan, 2 tension gone. And then my last action is going to be... Why is this that's Iran. India should have been over here. Iran should still have their 2 tensions. I'll just give them... I don't know why I put India over there. That was just the biggest geographical error ever. Let's get rid of 2 tension on the Gulf states. So those are my 3 actions. All right, those are my 3 actions. Those are done. Let the pain continue. We're going to draw from the bag and see what awful thing comes up while we draw from the bag. Draw 1 crisis card, and fun stuff's going to happen. Our crisis card is going to be, come on, place 2. So Russia clashed with Europeans and Canadians over Arctic mineral rights. How many of these immediate effects am I having here? So I just keep finding those things happening. So place 2 tension counters on Russia, NATO, Canada, and the UK. Remove 1 Russia influence counter from the Eurozone, and place a +1 AP counter on Russia and a +1 regional crisis on the Eurozone. Oh my gosh, why is this happening to me? I don't know, but it's making me super sad. So let's make it work. Okay, what horrible things are happening? We're going to add 2 more tension counters to Russia. We're going to add 2 tension counters to NATO. We're going to add 2 tension counters to Canada. And 2 tension counters to the UK. Then we're going to remove 1 Russian influence counter from the Eurozone, so this will go away, and add a +1 AP counter on Russia here. And then we will, +1 regional crisis in the Eurozone, regional crisis going to 3. And that is what occurs for this card, and then this is put in the reshuffle pile. One of the mistakes that I caught while I was going through here, and I made the error in doing it, but that would have drastically changed some of the stuff. But basically, if we ever hit this major crisis, we have to roll on the table. So before we had 2 countries that were in major crisis that we didn't do anything for. So from now on, when it hits here, we have to go to that table and then do whatever it says. Okay, then we move down to if there's a plus, draw again. So let's reach in here and draw again. We have draw 2 crisis cards. Gosh, is there ever like a happy fuzzy ducks thing that's on here? No? No? Okay, well, let's draw 2 cards and see what happens. First card. Place an economic, so new automation technologies create huge increase in Chinese factory production. Place an economic improving counter on China's state of the economy, and a +1 AP marker on China. Come on, really? Where's my +1 AP marker, dadgummit? All right, so place 1 China influence in the Asia Pacific, and one more China influence in a random region, which means we have to roll for it. If China's U.S. Relationship is 3 or higher, place an economic improving counter on the U.S. SOE track and a trending pro-U.S. on China-U.S. relationship. Ooh, okay, not bad. So an economy improving on the China SOE track, a +1 AP marker for them to go to marker on China. 1 China influence is going in the Asia Pacific region, and then we're going to roll on what it's doing. So we're going to roll and see where else it's going. It's going on 1. 1 is the Eurozone, so it's getting some China influence. Then we have economy improving on the U.S. track, which we already had because of my hard work, and a trending pro-U.S. counter on U.S. relationship with China. we had this trending ante, so we'll just pull that off, and that won't be part of it. That will end this for this card. This card is discarded from the game, and then we're going to pull our next card to see what's going to happen. The First Lady's devotion to social equality yields results and wins you public approval. -1 to the domestic crisis in the U.S., +2 to public approval, and then we're going to roll a d6 and see what that does, and see what that does. So let's just roll the d6, then we'll do everything. Thank you, First Lady. See? Everybody loves her. Everybody loves her. I rolled a 2. All right, let's see what happens. So first, we are going to do, oh, you can't see that. Let me move that up. On the U.S. domestic crisis, we're going to -1. Public approval, we're going to raise it by 2. We rolled a 2 on the d6, so it says place job creation package in number 1 box of the public legislative priorities. Since it was number 2, it's just going to trade places with privacy legislation, being job creation package as number 1. If the public approval is now 60%, it is not. So that is our second one, and this goes to the discard pile as well. That was 2. Then we draw again if there was another plus. Awesome. Yay. I wanted to do this. I wanted to keep reaching in here and drawing horrible things. Draw 2 more crisis cards. Come on, game. All right, well, let's see what's going to happen. All right, so we got +1 regional crisis in Africa and the Middle East. Add 1 level 1 threat group. So Sinai Province Terror Group launches raids against army throughout Egypt. So many bad things are happening. Let's deal with it. Okay, so we've got +1 regional crisis in Africa and the Middle East. Then we're going to add a level 1 terror group each to Africa and the Middle East. So a level 1 terror group's going there, and a level 1 terror group's going here, because we can't seem to get rid of them. Add 1 tension counter to Israel, and Israel is gaining a tension counter. And that is awesome. So that is the first one that is completed. Let's go and check out what the second one is. Decrease the Eurozone SOE tracked by 1 box, +2 regional crisis in the Eurozone and Eastern Europe. Impact on US and Russia. So collapse of Swiss UBS bank sends shockwaves across Europe. Threatens the government. Cool. This is going to be awesome. And by awesome, I mean terrible. So the Eurozone state of the economy track goes down 1 box. Oh boy. +2 regional crisis. So immediately we hit that, and then Eastern is going to be 1, 2. So we'll deal with that in a second. Impact on US and Russia. Place a worsening economy counter on both US and Russia SOE tracks. Theirs already worsening. Ours was improving. Ours was improving. Now we'll just remove that. And now we have to deal with this going to the WD1 tables for regional major crisis. Cool. So, regional major crisis table. If a regional major crisis breaks out, we get -2 to public approval. Great. Then we roll a d10 and see what horrible things happen. We're at +2 we just gained. -2. Then we're going to roll a d10 and we're going to get a 6. Let's see what happens with a 6. Add a level 2 terror group in the region. Flip 1 unstable state to civil war. If none, add 1 unstable state to the region. So a level 2 terror group is in the Eurozone, and we've got an unstable state cropping up in the Eurozone, and then we're going to move this to 2. Thank you, card. Thank you so much for hating me, but that was our second card. We're done. Okay, we've hit rock bottom in more ways than one. Awesome, 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 awesome. So that's going to end this episode. When we start back, we'll start going through the next column. Thank you so much. I love you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it.